But first I want to just share something. I got this email yesterday from a hypnosis client of mine. It's a German man. He lives in France, and he's a real estate investor. He had a couple other companies with a partner when I first met him that he didn't act in, and he wanted out of. And he had a deep history of a lifelong paralyzing. I mean, he literally would be physically paralyzed if he had to interact with people. He couldn't stand people, quite honestly. He did very well in his businesses, but tended to work a lot. And then he'd go through phases where he didn't want to get out of bed or go anywhere. He would lay paralyzed. He was afraid to talk to people. All kinds of different strange things. He would use his body. He would make his body sick or do all kinds of crazy stuff in order to make it, well, I can't go out. I can't do this. He had a lot of suppressed anger. When he first came to me, it was like, just the tiniest little thing will I just freak out. I get so angry. I can't figure it out. And he's just started his 3rd month. He just renewed for his 3rd month. And he just sent this to me out of the blue. And I want to share it with you because I want you to understand what's possible with this work, like where it's going to take you. So he said, I recently finished my first 2 months of high income hypnosis with Nan. After these 2 months, I cannot help realizing how powerful and effective this particular way of doing hypnosis is. During these 2 months, I've experienced so much progress on so many levels, it would be too much to list all the details. So here are just a few. I feel much more powerful, both in general and also in business. I feel my inner strength has gone up dramatically. It feels great to really take the responsibility for everything that has happened in my life, is happening, and this is the best part, for what will happen. I feel much more inclined to be and own who I really am, as opposed to trying to hide my true self from others. I am much more willing to be seen and to be heard. I feel so much more comfortable in owning my power. I respect myself way more in business situations, whereas in the past I tended to make too big of concessions. Now I'm much more aware of the value of my contributions, and it's much easier for me now to get my way, to assert myself, and to do and get the things that I need in order for me to be able to work effectively. Well, another thing is that I am no longer using my body in order to get what I want. Rest, for example. Like he would work himself to, a lot, and then he would say, oh, now I have to not do anything and rest. Or to not having to do things that I didn't want to do. So instead of being able to speak up and say, I don't want to do that, that's not for me, he would make himself sick. What I mean by that is that I no longer make my body sick so that I have a reason for something or an excuse. I feel that I'm really becoming the creator of my life. And this is really, sorry. Sorry, I love what I do. I feel that I'm really becoming the creator of my life, and this is really the core of everything. More than everything else, the hypnosis work with Nan has put me in a position where I really feel that I am more and more able to continually create my life exactly the way I want it. And by taking my power back on a very deep level, I feel different than I've ever felt in my life. In the beginning, before our first session, I was a bit skeptical whether or not the change work with Nan would be permanent or only give me a temporary rush, because I've tried many other things and coaches, which was all helpful, but just didn't go as deep as it was needed to create permanent change. As far as I see, this change work goes so deep that it actually does create permanent change. Yes, more stuff to be resolved is coming up, of course, but hey, it's only been 2 months, and I really cannot imagine that somewhere else I would have come so far in so little time. But I also have to say that I was really ready to change. Remember I said the willingness is the key. And to do everything it would take, for example, really looking at the pain. And I have given it a lot of effort to really integrate the learnings in my life. He takes every session, like I told you after session, like we talk about what came up, what were the agreements, he writes them out, he focuses on them, he looks at his life, like he works at what he learned. For example, I transcribed big parts of the recordings of every session, translated it into my language, is German, and really integrated it into my thinking, feeling, and being. So what Nan can do for you is she can guide you, lead you through the necessary processes in a very effective, direct to the core way. And when you really do your best to do your part also, then significant, lasting change will happen. By the way, in one particular session, the conversation, this was in our first session, and the first sessions often go quite long, up to 90 minutes, sometimes even 2 hours. The conversation before the actual hypnosis went longer than usual. In order to get an accurate understanding of the situation, Nan kept asking questions about the situation and so on. She was really interested in helping me. And at some point, I almost expected her to say, well, your time for this session is over. Let's continue next time. But no, she continued. But what was even more amazing was after all this, her asking and me responding, I was thinking, this is going nowhere today. If I were the coach right now, I wouldn't know what to do next. And then he says, then the next thing was, she took it directly to the core like a real pro. This is where the wheat separates from the chaff. In my estimation, the price for high-income hypnosis is more than worth it. And I already decided to add at least one more month, and probably more. And believe me, I will do it whether I have the money or not. But I'm so convinced of the life-changing effect of this work that I will somehow make the money for it. My personal development is more than ever priority number one for me, and I will not accept not having the money right now or any other excuse to not create the life that I want. All the best to you. And I wanted to share that with you, not to say, oh wow, look at so great what I do, but I really want you to get, like, didn't he mention everything we're talking about, right? And this can be such a divine, deep change for you. So